So in the past 2 to 3 years, I've been able to generate multiple 7 figures every single year, but it hasn't always been like this. Back when I first got started, I was just a broke college student trying to figure out what I was gonna do in life. And at that time, I was working with my dad part-time, doing hardwood floor construction. I was also working as a health technician with kids with autism, and I was trying to make sure that I passed school because I was not a good student at all. It was during that time when I saw the struggle of my parents and also realizing that I also hated being broke that I needed to make a change, and that change started with me starting a business. This business that I started about 5 to 6 years ago was dropshipping. Back then, what had happened was I decided to look online on videos on how to make money, and dropshipping had come up. I was blessed, fortunate, lucky enough to have been able to generate over $120,000 my first year of getting into the space. Now, I'll talk more in detail later on in this video about my story and how that progressed into where I'm at now, but for the sake of this video, I wanted to give you all the information that you need to know from someone who's done it many years ago on how to start dropshipping and how I would do it over again. So what is dropshipping? So recently I came across a pretty hilarious podcast with a new girl named Bobby Altoff. Now she's someone who's been just getting all these crazy connections with other celebrities, and one of those celebrities happened to be Drake. Now if you're a fan of Drake, like most people are, you can go on a site called drakerelated.com. This here is a hub for all things related to Drake, where you can see his G-Wagon, you can enter his studio and go all across his place, where you can even click on these white little dots. Now, if you click on some of these dots, you can actually buy products that Drake makes, but what's really interesting is that some of these dots also points to other stores. Now look, He's Drake. He's probably got a million things going on in his life, but with this store here, what I found fascinating is that he decided he wanted to support more small businesses, however, without adding the extra stress and headache of the back and forth that it comes with, which usually involves managing inventory, actually dealing with the units, and whatnot. So fast forward a little later, Shopify, an $86 billion company, released a new program called Shopify Collective. This is where they solve the problem that Drake was facing, where he can now go ahead and handpick high quality items from different brands to sell on his own store. So as an example, if you take a look at this inflatable air pump, it comes from a company called Funboy, and it's noted that it's shipped separately. Now Drake here doesn't own this specific inventory. He simply just gets the order on his site and they pass it on to Funboy, and Funboy actually handles the rest. What's cool is that Drake is able to sell his own merch, but aside from that, if there are any other items that he wants to have his customers get and he makes a profit on, his team never actually has to deal with that order. So in essence, this here is dropshipping. It's where you're pretty much marketing someone else's product and you're able to get it to them without ever touching the product. Now, dropshipping has been around for ages, but this isn't anything new. Back when I first got into dropshipping about 5 to 6 years ago, people were just all about making as much money as possible. To do this, you would find a bunch of products for as cheap as possible, and that was all sourced from a site called AliExpress. Now, AliExpress is one of the most popular online stores for buying products at much cheaper prices. And if you've never seen it or you still don't really grasp it, just think about Amazon, but even cheaper than what Amazon has. And it all happens to come direct from China. So usually what people do when they get into the dropshipping space is that they would go on AliExpress, they would do some product research, find that product on their website, and then they would create websites using tools like Shopify, where they upload those products as if it was their own, and then they would ship it out to customers. The issue here is when you do this, you never get to see the product, and I personally ran into a few issues myself. One of those was that some people saw the product being advertised on the website and it was completely different from what they actually received in the mail. On top of that, before the days of Amazon Prime and getting like 1 to 2 day business shipping, even 5 to 6 years ago, the norm for getting items delivered to you was like 5 to 10 business days. Nowadays, a lot of people are spoiled where you can actually get items like delivered to you within a couple hours if you're living here within the United States. But on the other hand, if you happen to buy a product these days and it's not getting delivered to you within weeks, but even sometimes where it takes up months because it comes directly from China, people aren't really too happy. That's another issue that a lot of people dropshipping ran into. And another one is just the fact that when you receive some of these products, the packaging, because they have to use like e-packet, it looks like it came straight from a scene out of Narcos with Pablo Escobar, and people would just be sketched out. This is where where essentially dropshipping got such a bad rep because you had poor quality control over products, you had really long shipping times, and then the packaging, it was terrible. I don't know if this is still going on, but it was happening during my day where you would see a bunch of 19-year-old kids flexing Wi-Fi money in their Instagram bios, making TikTok product ads to their Shopify store, and then drop shipping those items from the middle of China to regular customers like you and I. So back then, most people didn't know about drop shipping, but nowadays what it turns out is most people like in high school or even middle school know what drop shipping is, but they just assume it's a complete scam. Now, earlier in this video, I mentioned to you guys about how I ran a store to the six-figure mark my first year, but I wanted to give you guys the complete story behind what happened. So first year, I decided to become an entrepreneur, got into the game. I saw some YouTube videos, ran a six-figure dropshipping store, and even back then, I realized that making sales wasn't that hard, and I could have kept going if I wanted to, but I realized that this was not how I wanted to build a business that I was proud of. For all the reasons that I mentioned about the poor quality aspect of dropshipping in a nutshell, I realized even myself that I needed to solve these problems. So once I was able to test the market and realize, okay, dropshipping is not actually a scam, I can actually make money, I eventually moved over from shipping items from China over into shipping items from US warehouses. Even back then with AliExpress, you could just go ahead and sort different shippers to the US, and that was just the easiest way for me to find US warehouse holders. By setting it into that category where I'm shipping directly just from US warehouses, my prices were going higher, which meant my margins were going down, but I knew that I could still make up that money through happy customers. Happy customers meant that they would probably come back, and if you have repeat orders, you would make way more money than for someone to have a bad experience. So I did that, and it was working out great. We were processing a high volume of sales and orders, and I even wanted to take it to the next level where I realized, okay, if someone gets an item, I still can't see the item myself, and there's a level of me where I wanted to at least QC it. I wanted to make sure that my customer was getting a consistent product that was being advertised by our website. This here is when I decided to make my first biggest investment ever, where I bought my first round of inventory, and I happened to be on a cruise at that time. I was getting like WhatsApp messages from my contact in China at like 2, 3 a.m. and they're like, yo, the pallet is about to get delivered to my parents' house. And I remember my parents, they texted me, they sent me a photo, and it's like, hey, we just got this big old box and it got delivered. Now, my plan was to sell all of these to my customers with an item that I custom designed and a new color that I was so pumped for. So here I was on the cruise, coming back home. By the time I pulled up back to my parents' house, I saw this box of inventory and I was pumped, okay? I actually got a new item that was selling well. I custom designed it to my own color. I added a little bit of an upgrade, which I thought improved the product more, and it was working out great. A few days later, I was making over $1,000 to $2,000 every single day in sales, and I knew with this product, with my own custom packaging, better delivery times, that I would continue to make some insane dollars, and I could eventually scale this to a seven-figure business. Well, after a few weeks following that, things didn't end up going as I expected. This is because the same manufacturers who I used to dropship all the items previously decided to copy what my store was doing, and they replicated the same new upgraded item that I made, and they undercut my prices by over 50%. So now I was competing against the same people who actually manufactured my first products, and with the costs of ads rising, with more and more people getting into the dropshipping space and competing in the e-com world, I was just completely getting zoned out. Now, you might have thought there's a happy ending to that story, and in a way there is, in a way there isn't. I ended up just putting that store on pause, and I decided to focus on different ventures. What had happened was the fact that in me pursuing dropshipping, I had learned how to create my own website, do my own product funnels. I had to learn how to hire my first employee, fire my first employee, do customer service, do product research, and most importantly, I learned how to run ads, and I got really good at doing that one thing. Through that experience, I wore all these different hats, which allowed me to have the tools to start then my own marketing agency with a business partner at that time. And I even remember that I got so good at running ads for myself that all these businesses and local owners were asking me if I could do it for them. Although the e-com business was something I was so passionate about and I wanted to scale to the moon, I realized I need to put that one aside and pursue these other opportunities that were opening up that probably had better margins and it wasn't as competitive. So Facebook Facebook whitelisted my ads account. They gave me my own dedicated ads manager, and eventually I was able to use that skill in running ads for the agency, where we generated thousands of dollars in sales and revenues for our other clients. It was also around that same time I decided to pursue Amazon FBA with another partner. And cool story, my partner back then ended up, working at the bank. He was the lead analyst there at Wells Fargo. And then now he's been our COO of this company, which is managing YouTube and the few other businesses that we run, where he's been one of my head of operations since. Now, at a certain point within my career, I was a business owner of 3 different companies. I had the marketing agency. I decided to start YouTube and to document my journey and to review credit cards. And then I still had that e-com brand that I didn't want to let go. With e-com, I realized to scale, I would need more of a team, and margins were also very difficult to improve just because it was within the product-based business. When I moved into agency work, margins were still good, but I felt like I was an employee to all these clients, and I just hated that feeling. And YouTube, well, this is where things started working out. With YouTube, I realized I could work whenever I want. I didn't feel like an employee, and I just loved making videos, seeing comments, and being able to stay creative within my own zone of genius. So the whole lesson out of that story is the fact that I learned so much from dropshipping, and I could have taken it either direction. Looking back now, I would not be here today where I'm at in my house with my dog. I don't even know what I'd be doing in my life right now if I didn't actually start out with dropshipping. Even more full circle, I still have my old e-commerce brand. I still got all the inventory right now, and I'm working together with other 7-figure e-commerce brand owners to scale and build even more businesses. Something I also realized back then was that there's a lot of scammers and fake gurus within the space that are just all trying to sell you a course, but you can literally watch my journey here on YouTube, where I went through my process of buying orders, shipping out orders, going through like my thought process on what to do to pursue this, to not pursue that. It's all here available online. From then, I went from a $0 net worth individual to now multi 7 figures, approaching 8 figures, and it's happened to be all started with the business of dropshipping. If I were to do everything over again, I wouldn't change a single thing, because I don't know if there was any other way for me to get into the current timeline that I'm at now. So Astro, is it still worth dropshipping? Yes or no? If you've asked me the question again, is it still worth dropshipping? I would tell you, yes and no. That's because there's the new way and there's the old way. And the new way right now is finding good manufacturers and brands. It's utilizing AI to make copy and build out websites faster than ever before. And it's having systems in place where once someone places an order, you have all things automated and ready to go. Most importantly, if you are interested in becoming a better entrepreneur and you want to just make money, I say this here is one of the best businesses to still start. Now, on the other hand, if that's not your case, if you're just trying to make a pretty penny and you're trying to just use the old way of doing things, like, finding a product that everyone's selling, going on AliExpress, drop shipping from China, running ads on Facebook, losing more money, then no. Most definitely not. Don't even try. So here's what you need to know for up-to-date video on dropshipping in 2023 and beyond. Right now, competition is definitely higher than it used to be with dropshipping, but you have even more resources and tools to win with. Think about it like this. AI really just started to pop off like 3-4 months ago, and it's still a growing world where people are just getting accustomed to the skills. Back then, it would have taken me like 1 to 2 weeks in order to build up a website, do all the copy and the writing. But right now, you can build up a website with templates that exist using AI, getting all the copy built for you, getting product photos using like Midjourney, having that optimize it, and you can do what it would have taken me multiple weeks to complete, where you just do it in like 1 to 2 days, maybe even less than that. The second thing is industries can always be disrupted with a bit of thinking, and there's so many new platforms and trends that it's even more advantageous for the younger you are, because the old heads right now, I'm telling you, they can't keep up. And I think I'm one of those old heads now. I'm turning 27 this year, and I started making videos on this channel back when I was just 21. Crazy time flies. Now, if you are interested, here's how you can get started today. First of all, you can launch your own store, or you can buy a pre-made one. So Shopify Exchange allows you to buy pre-made stores, and what's great about this is that you can see all the data for that store to see if it's, still making sales. If it did make sales, you can ask the owner, hey, what happened? Why was it making so many sales, but it's not anymore? And you can find a store that might have been all set up. Emails are ready to go. You have a customer list, and you could just take it over and you can start from there. This here is great because it can save you even more time, and you could also be generating profit with very minimal investments. Now, the second option is to just launch your own store. The way that I've done this many years ago and the way that people do this now is using using Shopify. Shopify in a way is geared more specifically for people who want to start their own successful dropshipping store. If you guys have not yet signed up for Shopify, check out the link down below in the description. This is an affiliate link, so you also support this channel, but with these affiliate links, you'll be getting a better offer than most of their public offers where you're not getting anything free. You're not getting a free trial. You're not usually getting like $1 a month free promo, something like that. So Shopify runs these cool little deals using our link down below. Check out what the offer is. And if you want to sign up, they have a free trial, link down below in the description. So in order to get started and to launch your store, you can actually get started today. The way I would do this, first sign up for Shopify. The next thing you want to do is make sure you have a subscription to ChatGPT, or even if you don't want to spend like the extra $25, $30, you could use ChatGPT for free, or you could also use other AI bots like Bard. Now this year is great because you can pretty much use a second brain like AI where you wouldn't have had access to tools like this before, and you can ask it questions like, hey, what products could I sell that you think would be valuable, or what niches right now are blowing up and trending. From there, use this bot in order to write down a list of your top 5 interests or different markets and niches. You could have ChatGPT expand on what those look like, and this right here is going to give you a huge head start. Now, furthermore, getting started with the dropshipping store, there's usually 2 ways to go about it. You can have a more specific market niche store selling maybe 1 product or 2 or 3 products. Okay, we'll talk a little bit more about cross sells and upsells later on, or you can have a general niche store. About 5 years ago, general niche stores were still able to generate people 7 figures a month, but right now I think the space is getting pretty saturated. But if you do know how to brand yourself properly and you get yourself good items on the store at cost, I believe that it is still very viable for you to make a ton of money. Now, a lot of people get overwhelmed with this whole stage where they're like, okay, Brian, I don't even know the general niche store. I don't even know if I should do a product first store. Here's what I'll say. Just pick one general market that you're looking to expand into, do your research with ChatGPT, and make sure it tells you not only the pros, but also the cons. And you also want to look at the general market size. How big is the market? Are you in a market where you're buying exclusive things for exclusive demographic of people, like maybe people with a certain allergy? Those markets may not expand as much as you think it would, and maybe the most you'll only make is like $100,000 a year. On the other hand, if you expand into a market where it's more applicable to people in a certain area, in a certain location, or a certain age demographic, you might have an even higher chance to scale. I personally think it's good to just niche down a little bit. Don't keep it too general, but the focus that you should be putting more of your attention into is going to be building out specific product pages. A lot of people get so overwhelmed with how their front page looks of their site and how their Instagram layout is, but that is not the focus. If you want to know what makes people the 80% of the money, the focus is going to have to be as soon as someone goes on your website and they're right on the product, how you're going to convert them from looking at the product, interested in buying it, to someone converting it to buying it now. The best way to get inspiration on this, guys, just go on Kickstarter. Okay, I was doing this back then. It still works now. Kickstarter is based off of crowdfunding. So people have to go ahead, sign up, and if their product is going to launch, they need a certain amount of people to sign up and back that project. But in order for them to back that project, it needs to look good. They need to do a good job of marketing it. So this is where you're going to see really good product funnels. They're going to be talking about the features, how it can change your life, what else it can do, like the different color variations, like things that might interest people where they didn't have a clue before. So after you generate a list of ideas using some of these AI tools, you can also use Google Trends to see what's popping off right now. Even a few months ago, guys, pickleball as an example, that was blowing up, and there weren't any huge legitimate brands that people were going to. So it turns out drop shippers were making some of the most amount of money in this space because they could get these paddles at cost, because a lot of beginners are getting into it. They don't care about the carbon fiber plating or whatnot, and they're making some serious money. Even for my girlfriend and I, we went over on Amazon in order to buy a set of pickleball sets, and I just know it all comes from the same place that it would have gotten drop shipped from anyways. Product research, I think, is so important. There's a couple ways you can go about it. One of the ways that people do it is to go on Amazon or to even go on AliExpress and see what the most popular items that are getting sold. Now, I think this here is not a blue ocean. You're competing competing against every single person who might have probably watched my video here today, and that I've also heard that from like 100 different other YouTubers and blogs. If I were to start over again, I think a better way to do product research is to use tools like TikTok, because a lot of people, they will look at TikTok and they'll think it's just another social media site like Instagram, but that's not what it is. TikTok, yes, indeed is social media, but it's a sophisticated algorithm where it tracks you, it learns what you like to buy, and if you're able to feed it that profile, like manipulate that data just a little bit. So anytime it shows you an ad on a product, click on the ad, click on the product, scroll around a little bit, click add to cart, click buy. It's gonna force you even more items on ads of products that might be doing really well. So this is actually like a little cheat code in order to get and generate even more ideas. So use TikTok, try to get a lot of product ideas. See the engagement on them. Are people like blowing it up? Are there specific TikTok accounts made just for one single product? So as an example, I don't know if you guys can see this. This is like one product. It's like a pig getting slapped, okay? It's a rubber pig. It's been blowing up on TikTok. And from even something like this, a lot of people ended up selling it. And then you can use tools to see how many items they're selling with Chrome extensions. Some of them are free, and you'll realize these products, they make a lot of money. If you check the market, you realize, okay, someone else is doing this, but it hasn't really blown up yet. And you know that you can make a better version of it. Maybe you can improve the product, or you can improve the marketing. Boom, you have a viable way of getting sales. You have a viable marketing method because you have these type of platforms. Like TikTok didn't exist when I was doing drop shipping, and you can use it to blow up so easily. This also reminds me of another story, real life story here. One of my good friends, Daniel, he got into e-commerce, lives in my area, in the Maryland area, always see him at the gym in Rockville. And I said, yo, Dan, what's going on, man? He's pumping the curls on the bicep machine, looking like a monster. And I was like, how's your e-com stuff doing? I heard, you're getting into drop shipping a while back. Did that do well? He's like, oh yeah, it's been going okay. I was like, well, how much are you doing? This man tells me he's doing like 6-7 figures a month. His product was blowing up. He was doing like 70-80K profit. It's just crazy amounts of people making money. And I asked him, well, what was your product research method? And he told me, going on TikTok, man, doing product research, finding it there, using that for marketing, running paid ads, using that. The algorithm for what they have provided to people who want to start their business these days is so sophisticated and good, and I would not sleep on it one bit. Now let's back up just a little bit though. We skipped a lot of steps. You do product research, use ChatGPT. If you're questioning any part of it, use ChatGPT to give you even more advice. Is there a probability of this succeeding? What do you suggest I do in order to properly market this? Give me a full content calendar plan in order to have an efficient marketing strategy. You got that all done. You have the ideas in it. Make sure you organize it, everything, all right? Write it down, put it on your Apple Notes. I like using Notion for everything, for all of our systems here at our company. What I do next is then look for distributors. You need to know the cost of getting that particular item. Is it going to be expensive? Is it based out of the US? Do they accept wholesale orders? Could you move out of the dropshipping method? For this, some of the sites you can use is AliExpress still. You can sort it to just US warehouses. You can use Oberlo, Salehu, Wholesale to Be. You can use Spocket. There's a lot of these companies actually still coming up where they're finding you viable products that you can go ahead and market as a dropshipper. Now, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier. Did I mention it earlier, Astro? No, probably not. Dropshipping is pretty much just means you're a marketer first, okay? You're doing a lot of business stuff, but if you are really good at marketing certain products, you are gonna be successful. After that, what I like to do is check the competition. And in order to do this, once you found a few products that have profit potential and you found the supplier, you wanna then see who else is selling the product. So search up the product name on Google, reverse image search the actual product photo. Google's algorithm is insane for this. You can go on social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram shopping, and see how often it's really getting sold and if it's oversaturated or not. If a product is oversaturated, I hate competing against others. I hate the whole idea of like stealing people's ads, stealing people's products, and like doing what everyone else is doing. Always find a different way to put a product and spin the wheel. Now, it doesn't mean that the initial strategy of copying people doesn't work, because it still works. I know a lot of people making a lot of money doing that method, but I just don't think it's a sustainable business. If your whole business is built off of copying others, I just don't see the longevity in that. Now, I could be wrong, and if I am wrong, let me know down below in the comments. Going back though, say you've done that, okay? You found a good product, ChatGPT recommended you found one from TikTok, whatever it may be, you realize the competition is not that high, you can come into the space, and this is something that you foresee a trend brewing. Well, the next thing you're gonna wanna do is create your own website. I talked about this earlier. Use Shopify, build up your website. You can then automatically add that product into your website. They'll go ahead and allow you to do a whole bunch of customized customizing to it. You can discount your products. You can create a limited time offer sale. You can limit the quantity of it, or you can just process orders automatically. What I used to process over $100,000 in orders was Oberlo, and all this was like one click. I would just press one click as soon as I got the order coming in. It pressed order fulfill. I would use one of my credit cards where I'm earning additional points. By the way, all of you guys should be doing this if you're in the e-commerce business, because this is where I accumulated millions of points, where now I'm traveling for free, first class flights, really nice, sweet upgrades to hotels. Always make sure you're maximizing this aspect of it, but set up the website, use some of these apps, link the product to it, and then the next thing that you want to do is marketing. With marketing, there's two different ways to go about it. Back then, you would have to do paid ads because organic wasn't as good as it is now, but right now, organic reach using platforms like TikTok is so powerful, where if you are able to create a good video or send someone a product that you plan on promoting on your website, this could be called UGC, user generated content, have them post a video and then you repost it, and then maybe you pay them like $200-300. From there, you're going to be able to generate yourself a business. You're going to be able to see that whatever product that they post, even if they get you 1 or 2 sales, you'll realize that this quickly starts to add up. Back then, what I had to do, I had to use Instagram shoutouts. So I have to find like niche pages or random pages and be like, yo, can you do a shout out for this like photo post? Because even videos and stories didn't exist on Instagram back then, and they would run a image and it would be like a Canva generated image that I made, and I was so surprised because that ended up actually even getting sales. So right now, if you're using video, if you're able to utilize the apps, you do not have to pay as much in advertising as I did and still get even better results. So here's what I'll say. Start out with UGC, user generated content. You can make it yourself so you don't have to pay anyone to do it. From there, try to make more organic content. Okay, stretch the dollar, because I know most people who get started within this space, they don't have a lot of money to just waste and blow away on ads. So buy the product, film it yourself, have other people or friends or family using it, filming it. Try to get as far as you can with organic leads. From there, if you want to amplify your performance, that's when I would get into paid ads. This is where you can retarget people who went onto your website, they came in, they added it to cart, and then they didn't end up buying, but then you give them a new angle. Like, hey, how about 20% off? And usually, sometimes changing the price, changing the angle, showing it to them just a few times actually triggers the buy. This is human psychology. A lot of people, unless it's an impulse buy, they're not going to just see it, buy it at once. They would usually see it. It would be in their subconscious like, oh, maybe I should get this product, but I don't need it. And then they see it over and over again. And then one day, they just end up buying it. They realize, okay, there is a need for it, and then they see a sale and it'll trigger the conversion. Using ads is really easy, but there is definitely a learning curve because it looks like an Excel spreadsheet for most people with even more sophisticated data that you have no idea what it means. On top of that, when you're running ads, you have to create the creatives. So that means like the text, the video, the photo, and you're gonna be putting a lot of thought, because if you're gonna be spending $10, $20, $30, $40, $50 a day, that starts adding up. Even if you're running ads for $10 a day, you do that for a week, that's $70 out of your pocket. And if you don't keep track of it, or you're doing multiple products, you realize, okay, this is why a lot of people end up not liking dropshipping, because they see that it's a lot harder than they anticipated. So I'm all about reducing the amount of risk in starting any business. So fully utilize organic reach. And if it's not working, try a different product, but try to get your first sale organically before moving into paid ads. And then once you get the hang of paid ads, that's when you can actually scale from going to $100 a day to $1,000 a day to then $10,000 a day. Now, the last step here is going to be in optimizing your business. At a certain point, and as soon as possible, you want to be able to track everything. This means sales, visitors, how much your ads are spending, how many views you're getting, what the likely conversion rate on someone landing on a page is, how long they're sitting on a page for. You want to then use this data to continue optimizing, because you realize that you want to make sure you're efficient as possible. On top of that, you want to continue to look out for new product offerings. You want to hire out customer service with VAs from across the world, where you can hire them for $5 to even less than that, $5 an hour for them to help you and get back your time. Eventually, you can also have your own newsletter where you're hitting them with retargeting ads in their newsletter. Like, by the way, we released a new product, or hey, updates to this, or a discount to that, Black Friday sale to this. Owning your own email list is going to be free traffic, and that's where you can then scale your business even more. So in those 7 steps, you pretty much have gone gone from a dropshipping noob over into someone who's running a scalable and sustainable business. By the way, keep in mind, you're not always going to get it right the first time. I did not get it right off the bat with my first store. It took me multiple products and stores before things started to kick off. Now, the biggest lesson, guys, is if I was able to do it, I'm confident that you are too. As someone who just like dropped out of school and like I never took a class on business, entrepreneurship, marketing, whatever, and I simply just learned everything from the internet and then from my own experience of doing it, I'm so confident that there are a lot more people out here smarter than I am that could do it too. So guys, if you did find any value in this video, first of all, do me a favor, okay? Drop a like down below, subscribe to this channel. If you guys want me to talk more about dropshipping, if you guys want me to even start a series on starting a store from scratch, building it up and showing you what the possibilities nowadays are and being able to make money, let me know down below in the comments too. Thank you all so much again for watching. Be sure to check out Shopify, link down below in the description if you also want to get started. And in the meantime, take care, stay blessed, and I'll see y'all soon. Peace.